This is lesson 4-5, absolute value inequalities.
To solve absolute value inequalities, we're going to have to review compound inequalities that we did in lesson 3-6. Compound inequalities are two or more solution sets put together to form one solution. There's two types of compound inequalities: conjunction, which is and disjunction, which is or. If you have an absolute value inequality and the sign is a less than sign or a less than or equal to sign, the statement will be a conjunction. If the sign is greater than or equal to, it will be a disjunction or an or statement. Think great or. So anytime you see a great or sign, it'll be an or disjunction. Solving absolute value inequalities, again, we start with isolating the term that's inside the absolute value. We're then going to split it into two inequalities. You remove the absolute value and use that term in each of the inequalities. Take the non-absolute value term and use the positive form in one inequality. Use the negative form in the other inequality, but don't forget to switch the direction of the sign, because technically we are multiplying by -1 to get that answer. So we do need to switch the direction of the inequality. Solve each inequality and graph the compound inequality. Here's an example. The absolute value of the quantity n divided by 4 is less than or equal to 3. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to do the example. So the absolute value term is isolated, so that what I'm going to do is take it out and use it in both inequalities. I'm going to keep the less than or equal to sign with the positive 3, but I need to switch the direction of the sign for the -3 to make it greater than or equal to. For both of these inequalities, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 to get n less than or equal to 12 and n greater than or equal to -12. I then set out my number line. I chose to go up by 3's here. I have closed circles at 12 and -12, and I'm going to connect them like a barbell because of the less than sign. It's an and statement. Here's a harder example. The quantity 2n minus 1, the absolute value of that, plus 3 is less than 12. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to do the work. So the first thing I must do is subtract 3 on both sides. The absolute value of the quantity 2n minus 1 is now less than 9. I now split this up into two inequalities. 2n minus 1 is less than 9, and 2n minus 1 is greater than -9. I then am going to solve both of those inequalities by adding 1 and dividing by 2. I get n is less than 5 and n is greater than 4. I then form a number line and graph it. I have open circles both at 5 and -4. If you're having issues with this particular lesson, please consult your teacher in class.